Base doon, attorney, sa news reports na ating napanood or nakita, ito, para magkaroon lang ng background yung ating audience, attorney. Ano po ba yung actual na kaso na isinampa dito po kay Jason sa cyber libel po ba ito under RA 10175 o ibang batas po tulad ng Article 154 ng RPC o yung unlawful utterances, Attorney Abby?
Bombogir, to be honest, I don't have a certified true copy of that document. So lahat ng mga sources natin is only through social media, no? So I have to admit I don't have a copy of that and I don't know about the merits of the case. And in pursuant to the rules sa sub judice, bawal tayo mag-discuss sa mga merits ng complaint, especially if this is already in court. So what I can offer at this moment is more on general knowledge lang. But based on my unauthentic research lang at I have to be honest, yung nakikita ko doon, there was a post na cyber libel. Pero it turned out na naging violation ng Article 154 ng Revised Penal Code in relation to the anti-cybercrime law. It was corrected by someone, parang it could be a blogger or someone. Pero since this is already public knowledge, what was found by our research team was Article 154 violation, hindi cyber libel. That was the cause of the arrest from the National Bureau of Investigation agents. So yun ang kaso niya, Article 154 ng Revised Penal Code of the Philippines in relation to the anti-cybercrime law. Yun ang kaso niya.
Opo, yun. Eto, proceed tayo, attorney, sunod nating itatanong. Kasi, yun nga, kaya naaresto si Joy Sonsa kasi nga daw po nagpakalat ng maling impormasyon tungkol sa quote-unquote kalusugan ni President Marcos Jr. Ngayon, attorney, ang tanong ko dito, kung tungkol sa health ng ating presidente yung post niya, kaya siya nakasuhan, kung pagbabasehan natin, attorney, yung batas, pasok po ba yun, attorney, sa cyber libel? Ano po ba ang elements ng cyber libel na siguro dapat ma-prove dito, Attorney Abby?
Okay, just I'll focus on the law on cyber libel lang I will not apply this to the case na sinampa sa kanya. So, in terms of that situation, depende yan sa content, Bombokir, hindi automatic yan na cyber libel. Para magkaroon ng cyber libel, kailangan ma-prove ang elements ng libel. Kasi this is not a new law, this is an old law. Ginawan lang ng cyber libel because it is in addition to the elements of libel, pero nagkaroon ng cyber libel kasi yung ginamit mo is a gadget, laptop, cellphone, etc. So para ma-prove mo yung elements ng libel, kailangan i-prove mo na may talagang defamatory imputation. In other words, may paratang na nakakasira sa reputasyon ng isang tao. So, defamatory imputation. Pangalawa, kailangan may publication na i-post o na ipakalat. Before, it was newspaper kasi before yun ang uso noon kaya libel. Kaya ngayon, pag ginamit mo yung electronic device, that is considered as publication if na-post mo, na ipakalat mo. Then the third element is identifiable person. Kailangan identify kung sino tinutukoy ang isang tao. And then the fourth is kailangan may malice, may bad faith, may masamang intensyon, and it is presumed or actual, kailangan ma-prove prima facie na may malice para makalusot dun sa prosecutor's office. So kung ang post is simple opinion lang, hindi agad libel yan. And if may false statement of fact, posibleng libel. So that is the element, and then there are also some exceptions to that. Kasi when it comes to like public figure or public concern, that can be considered as a defense.
Opo, yun, okay po. So ito, attorney, puntahan natin yung yung kaso pa din ni Joy Sonsa. Kasi may mga nagsasabi dito, attorney, na kapwa nyo rin po abogado, eksperto sa batas. May mga nagsasabi na hindi daw po ito cyber libel kasi quote-unquote public figure daw si President Marcos Jr. At matter of public concern naman daw po yung health niya. Sa tingin niyo po, attorney, valid po ba yung depensa na yun? para masabing hindi ito cyber libel, okay lang yung ginawa ni Joy Sonsa? Ano po ang sabi dito, attorney, ng jurisprudence?
Sige, as far as I can remember, there was a decision na mas mataas ang tolerance sa criticism kapag public figure. There was even one time sabi ng Supreme Court, hindi dapat onion skin itong mga public elected officials kasi they are always subject to scrutiny and criticism kasi nasa ano sila public office. Pero kailangan pa rin na the act committed by the accused or respondent kailangan acted with good faith pa rin. And kailangan may source, kailangan may factual basis pa rin. So, the rule here, yung keyword is kung opinion plus factual basis, protected yan. Basta may source ka. Pero pag false statement presented as a fact, maaaring maging liable pa rin yun.
Opo, iyon. Very well said, attorney. So, ito, attorney, puntahan natin yung document. Hindi ko alam kung anong tawag doon, attorney, sa document na yun. I don't know kung yun ba yung warrant of arrest or kung ano man yun, attorney. Kasi nakalagay doon, attorney, not bailable, kung hindi ako nagkakamali. Yun, question yun ng iba. Bakit daw not bailable? Yung nakalagay, not bailable. Pero sabi nung ilan, dapat bailable daw ito eh. Bailable dapat. Sa tingin nyo, attorney, bakit po nagkaroon ng ganoon na kalituhan? Nakadepende po ba to, attorney, sa penalty o sa judge? And yung kayang nakalagay, attorney, na yun sa documents, sinadya ba yun? O typo error lang? O talagang dapat yun talaga yung nandun? Attorney Abby.
Okay, just like what I said earlier na I cannot really give a conclusive comment on that document even if I saw it online. Pero I really don't know what was the reason bakit nilagay niyan dyan. But I will discuss, this is the most interesting part of our discussion. Kasi pag sinabi nating bail, sabi ng Constitution natin, bail is a matter of right. I will discuss that. Itong courts natin, trial courts natin, dito sa baba, dalawa yan. First court, second court. Ang tawag dyan, kung pag first court, tawag dyan, municipal trial court in cities, municipal circuit trial court, yun ang mga nasa baba na first level courts. Pag criminal cases, they try cases na hindi lalampas ng 6 years imprisonment. So, pag below 6 years imprisonment ang penalty ng crime na sinampa, MTC yan. So, kung RTC, anything that is imposable penalty more than 6 years until reclusion perpetua, death, life sentence, RTC, Regional Trial Court yan. Okay. If the case is filed before the MTC, ang rule dyan, before and after conviction, bail is always a matter of right. That is a guarantee. Okay? Now, if regional trial court tayo, before conviction, kasi regional trial court, sabi ko nga kanina, regional trial court has jurisdiction over criminal cases with penalties imposed more than 6 years until reclusion perpetua. So pag regional trial court, it is a matter of right before conviction. So wala pang hatol, hindi pa guilty yung tao, karapatan yan na mag-bail, magpiyansa. Now, that is before the regional trial court. After conviction, it is now considered as a matter of discretion. Si judge na yun yung magde-decide. Another rule dyan is hindi pwede mag-bail pag ang imposable penalty is reclusion perpetua, yung 20 years and 1 day to 40 years, life sentence or death penalty. Hindi pwede. Pero may isang exception pa dyan. Kailangan yung evidence of guilt strong para hindi makapagpiyansa. Pero pag hindi solid yung evidence of guilt sa pleadings pa lang, sa complaint pa lang, it is still a matter of discretion. Kaya yung ibang mga abogado nagfa-file ng motion for bail. So if I will apply it to Article 154, if I'm not mistaken, yung penalty dyan is arresto mayor. Yung arresto mayor is 30 days and 1 day to 6 months. Tapos may elemento ng cyber libel. Ang rule dyan, pag may cybercrime in relation to violation of the RPC, 1 degree higher yan. So posibleng maging prison correctional which is 6 months and 1 day to 6 years. In other words, pasok pa din yan dito sa municipal trial court, dito sa first level court. Anong rule kanina sabi ko? Pag nasa MTC, before and after conviction, it is a matter of right. So, it's up to you na to decide kung anong nangyari dyan sa document. There are lots of factors. There was even one lawyer who commented, who made a post na baka nagkamali lang si clerk of court. Kasi sometimes yung document pro forma yan, baka nalagay lang talaga dyan. Those are just speculations. But the sad news is that if you are going to be arrested on a Friday, tapos walang court na magpa-process, that's the problem because you really have to spend overnight dun sa mga weekends until Monday na office will be back to normal.
So ito, attorney, proceed tayo dun sa process ng pag-aresto. Kailangan po ba dito, attorney, ng warrant of arrest sa case ng cyber libel or pwede naman po na warrantless arrest kung caught in the act naman, attorney, o especially yung nag-post? Paano po yun i-apply dito, attorney, sa case na ito?
With respect to arrest, there is just one general rule dyan. In layman's term, pag walang warrant of arrest, there should be no arrest. It's so simple as that. Before the issuance of a warrant, kailangan it is determined with probable cause sa isang court, sa judge. Si judge mismo yung mag-personally examine. And pag nakita niya based on the affidavit of the witnesses and of the complainant and the witnesses na ma-produce niya, pag convince siya yung mag-i-issue ng warrant of arrest. If there's no warrant of arrest, hindi pwedeng arrestan yung isang tao. But it does not end there. That is just the general rule. May mga exceptions to the rule. Anong exception dyan? If yung arresting officer, nakita niya yung tao caught in the act, is committing the crime, has just committed the crime sa presence niya, at saka about to commit a crime, nandyan na talaga yung circumstance in front of him, hindi na kailangan ng warrant of arrest yan. Pwede nang diretso damputin yan, and then basahan niya ng Miranda rights, and then, yun nga, that is already a valid warrantless arrest. That's number one. Pangalawa, it is only valid yung warrantless arrest pag may personal knowledge yung arresting officer na yung taong yan ang nakagawa ng krimen. Example, I'll give you an example. Halimbawa, yung police na kumakain sa karinderya. May narinig niyang isang parang gunshot, pero hindi niya nakita yung tao. Pag the moment he went out of the karinderya, nakita niya yung isang taong may dalang baril. So, he has personal knowledge kasi narinig niya yung putok ng baril eh. So that's an example of having personal knowledge on the part of the arresting officer. And the third exception is yung fugitives, yung mga taong nakakulong na and then they escape, no? So that is an exception to the rule also na pwede na yan i-arrest even without a warrant. So hindi lahat ng pagkakataon kailangan ang warrant of arrest. That's the answer to your question.
Oh, po, yun. Very well said, attorney. So, dito, attorney, doon pa rin, attorney, sa pinost nitong si Sonsa na ika nga nila fake news daw po. Kung halimbawa, attorney, nakapost na po yung content, matagal ng panahon, considered pa ba siya, attorney, as committing a crime para pwede na siyang i-aresto without warrant? O dapat talaga dito, attorney, may warrant talaga, attorney Abby?
In that case, in cyber libel cases, if hindi mo talaga nakita yung taong actual na nag-type talaga dyan sa laptop, so that can be debated, no? Pero in my opinion, kailangan pa rin niya ng warrant of arrest because it's not in the presence eh. It's not committing, about to commit, or has just committed in the presence of the arresting officer. So pag hindi mo nakita nag-post talaga dyan sa laptop na nagta-type siya and you saw kung ano yung content niya, that is not considered as an in flagrante delicto arrest or caught in the act arrest.
Opo, iyon. So ito, attorney, mga remaining questions na lang po, sipuntahan natin yung siguro magiging implications nito, attorney, sa lahat ng tao na yun nga nagpo-post social media and even the mga personnel ng media. Sa tingin nyo, attorney, ano po ba yung magiging epekto ng kasong ito sa mga halimbawa sa mga vlogger natin or sa mga influencer na nagpo-post ng mga ganito? sa media, sa mga media practitioner na nagko-comment naman regarding sa health ng mga opisyal. Magkakaroon ba to, attorney, nung tinatawag na sabi nga chilling effect, attorney Avi?
Yes, this can possibly cause chilling effect, no, sa public. Posible yan. Ang mga instances na ganito, it can cause maging careful na yung mga media at mga vloggers natin, ano, kasi may precedence na. And then pero hindi naman ibig sabihin na bawal na ang criticism. Yung target dito, I strongly believe na kung itong Article 154 ang basihan natin, it is targeting false and malicious statements, not yung mga legitimate discourse. So pag false, pag malicious, hindi naman pwedeng i-exercise na lang natin din yung right to express natin over false and malicious accusations. Yan ang reason na kailangan balance pa rin yung right to express. So as long as you have basis, may source ka na legitimate, authentic yung mga documents mo before you express it, then you should be protected by our law.
Opo. Ito, attorney, maraming salamat, attorney, dahil na-mention nyo po yan. Maisingit ko tuloy, attorney, na nakatanungan. Kasi sa mga media, may mga iba, attorney, na natatakot ng mambatikos ng politiko. Halimbawa, kung corrupt talaga yung politiko, kung totoong may ginagawang katiwalian yung politiko, takot ng batikusin ng ibang mga media kasi sabi niya, baka makulong ako baka kasuhan ako pagka binatikos ko siya. May mga ganong feeling, attorney, minsan halimbawa, attorney lang, sinabihan mo ng, corrupt si konsihal, corrupt si mayor, mga ganon. Pasok ba yun, attorney, sa libel or cyber libel, attorney Kilaton?
I will give a practical ganyan ginagawa ng ibang mga media practitioners. They have lawyers always with them na before they post, if they're in doubt of posting a specific article, tinatanong nila yung mga lawyers. Kailangan mo ng lawyer kaya para malaman mo na if this is safe zone ba to, if this is just an opinion, fair comment, or verified facts, para hindi ka malagay doon sa danger zone. Ano yung danger zone? Yung opposite ng opinion, yung unverified claims presented as facts, yung mga health rumors without basihan, statements implying incapacity without proof. So kung hindi mo kayang patunayan yan, wag mo na lang i-post. You should have strong and authentic source before you make a criticism. So what I'm trying to say is that the law is not actually targeting the right to express and the right of the right of the media. Hindi naman bawal 'yun. Yung sabi lang na batas, pag mag-post ka, pag magbigay ka ng article na nakakasira ng isang halimbawa public official, public elected official, kailangan verified and authentic yung source mo. Kasi pag hindi, at it will turn out na hindi truthful yung mga statements, then that's the time where libel, Article 154 will come in. But then again, I did not say na hindi na pwedeng mag-criticize. That's always the right of every person to criticize public officials. It's just that when you make something, it should not be false, it should not be malicious. Yun lang ang sagot.
Boy, yun. Very well said, attorney. At least nalinawan tayo dun. Kumbaga, mahalaga pa rin talaga na dapat before mag-post, mag-denounce, or mag-criticize, kailangan talaga pag-aralan muna, or mag-consult muna sa lawyer or expert sa ganitong larangan. Pero ito, attorney, bago tayo magtapos, siguro para naman sa mga ordinaryong tao natin, attorney, ano naman po yung dapat na tandaan naman bago mag-post tungkol sa, yun nga, sa mga health matters ng kung sino man, lalo pa kung sa kalusugan ng ating presidente o ibang opisyal para hindi sila makasuhan. Saan po ba yung line between opinion at libel, attorney Abby?
So the key word there is responsible posting. Magpahayag pero maging responsable. Ang opinion ay protektado. But ang maling impormasyon na ipinapasa bilang katotohanan ay maaaring magdulot ng pananagutan. I will repeat. Pag ginawa mo yung malicious statement, false, nakita mo lang it is not verified, and then nag-criticize ka kaagad, tapos kung ano-ano yung sinasabi mo dyan, it is your right naman to express, but if you are not sure about the facts, the authenticity of the facts, that might cost you danger, yung pag-click mo ng post dyan. So, in the end, ang kalayaan ng pananalita ay hindi lisensya para manira. This is a freedom that has responsibility. Yun ang sabi ng ating batas. So, yung, again, the keyword there is responsible posting and the fairness, non-malicious, balanced freedom of expression. Yun lang po.